What's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. Thank you for coming back. Today we're going to be talking about lead weights that you're going to be using for fishing. Kind of touch on a little bit about what you're going to probably see, especially if you go out there and buy a starter kit, up to the ones that I prefer myself, what I like to using when I'm bait fishing, and just kind of give you just an overall what they're for, when to use them, what situations really call for them. So with that, let's go out and look at the first one. So this one is going to be a bell sinker. So this is usually what you're going to see, like if you're buying that rod and reel combo kit with a little starter pack. It's going to be like a small box, kind of like this, that you'll get from academies. It's usually attached to the rod and reel itself. They usually have quite a few of these. I mean, they're going to come in different smaller sizes, and that's going to kind of dictate, what kind of fish you're going to be fishing for. If you're fishing for just small ones, something to keep the kids occupied or just keep your time busy, then you're going to be going for little fish. So you just need something small like this. Like I said, that little kit that you're going to buy is going to have everything you need in it, especially just starting off. And then moving up, these are the egg-shaped sinkers, of course, because they look like eggs. These are really good for when you're actually on the bottom and you're running a line through it, and it allows that line to actually pass in between the two holes, and your line will just travel as that fish takes that bait. So these are really good if you're fishing off the bottom. And of course, they'll come in all sizes, like half ounce, ounce, 2 ounce, 3-4 ounces. It really depends on, if you're fishing in a lake or a pond where there's no current, then you don't have to worry about how heavy it has to be, right? If you're river fishing or something like that, then that's when you have to worry about, shoot, I need the bigger weight to hold my bait in place. But usually like a little 1 ounce is what I'll use. The bigger the weight, the further you can cast it to. But you don't want to go crazy and get something like this. You get something like this and you sling it, guess what? You're throwing your hook, your bait, everything's breaking. So especially with kids. With kids, you don't need something like this. Like I said, even just the bell-shaped sinkers, this is perfect for kids. You don't have to get anything other than that. And then so the problem that I have with those, right, with the egg shape, is they tend to roll, right? They'll roll on the bottom. As you reel it in, as you tighten it, when the wind blows and it pulls your line, this will tend to move, right? You'll start reeling it in to tighten your line, and it keeps coming at you. So when that happens, that's when you want to get one of these, which is a no roll sinker, right? It looks like the other one, but it's flat. So again, it's got the hole that passes through, but then when it's on that bottom, it's not going to roll. It will stay in place, and then again, the line passes through it. The fish can take your bait this way. They're not going to feel that weight. Now, of course, if they pull sideways or at an angle, they're going to feel it. But I like these because they'll sit in place. Again, they come in smaller sizes. I usually do like a 1.5 or 2. That's more than enough for like catfishing or anything that you're going to be doing off the bottom. Now, if for some reason, let's say you're in an area where it's really sandy and you're trying to tighten your line, because usually with a tighter line, you can watch your rod tip, right? When your rod tip moves, then you're getting a bite. So if your line is loose, and you're not going to be able to pick up on that bite, so that's why you want that line tight on your pole. But then with these, if the ground is really soft, really muddy or whatever, sometimes you have to move up to a pyramid weight, right? Well, and of course it's a pyramid shaped. Same thing, this is 4 ounce, it goes all the way down to, this is like a 1 ounce that I use as well. And these are really good because they'll dig, right? These little sharp edges that you see on that weight, once you throw it in, it's going to dig into the ground, right? And then this one, only thing with this one, it doesn't pass through. So what you would do is you would have this at the very end of your line, and your line would come up, you would have your hook, and then of course it goes to your pole. And we'll go over, how to set up your hooks, weights, where to tie them, how to tie them, all that stuff later on, right? But this is just kind of an introduction on what the weights look like, what you're gonna see, like I said, when you first buy that starter kit. Or you may want to go out there and just buy just an empty tackle box and then fill it with what you think you want. And I'm gonna go over tackle boxes and all that stuff too, to kind of give you an idea of what I've learned, what works for me and what doesn't, right? Because what I want to do here is save you the trouble of having to learn the hard way, or you're buying tackle box after tackle box, nothing's working the way you want it to, or you don't like it, or it's uncomfortable or whatever. And again, it's just my opinion. Some things work for me, some things don't, and the ones that don't work for me, they may work for you. Who knows? So like I said, we'll go over that later on. Another one you may see in that starter kit is something that looks like this. Looks like a bullet. This is actually just a worm weight. I don't really use them very often. I know if you're fishing for bass or other fish as well, you may use these. But for what you would be doing starting off, you know, with the kids, or like I said, just catfish or whatever, you're not going to really need something like this. You may see, and hopefully the camera can pick this up, this one has a little coating to it. It's black. It's actually tungsten. It's a heavier weight than the lead. I really don't use those myself, only because since I'm mostly fishing off the bottom, I get snagged on the bottom, so I lose my weights, right? Everybody loses weights. Everybody loses lures, hooks. You're going to lose it. There's no getting around it. You throw it in that water, there's a chance you're not getting it back. So when it comes to tungsten weights like this that are super expensive, I don't bother with them myself. I just go with plain lead weights, and that's fine for me. What you also see, so this is another one that I use quite a bit. So this is a split shot. So I'm hoping the camera can pick that up. So it's funny, if I can hold it like this, it kind of looks like a little Pac-Man, if you can see that. And at the very back of it, it's got that split tail. You see that? This one is also a split shot, right? But it doesn't have that tail at the back of it. Now what that means is once you pass your line through here, right, through that middle slit, you'll actually pinch this side of it. And like Pac-Man, it'll close its mouth on your line, right? And your line won't move, it'll hold it there. So when you go to take it off, when you're done fishing for the day, you grab your pliers, whatever you have, and you pinch this back part right here where that V cut out. Hopefully you can see that. You pinch that V and it opens that mouth back up. So it makes it reusable. Something like this, where there's no cutout in the back, it's just the front part of it, it's kind of like a one-time use thing, right? You pinch it closed, you can't really open it. Now if you had two pliers, of course you can go ahead and wrench it open or whatever, but it's too much trouble. These are pretty cheap. When the weights, and I just dropped one, whenever the weights are small like this, like if you go to Cabela's or Academies, you're gonna find them in little bitty plastic bags, right? They're gonna be hanging up. When you get into the bigger weights like this, right, you're gonna usually see them. They'll also be in bags, but they'll be at the bottom, on that bottom shelf at the store. So that's how you know where to find them. And another thing I like to do, especially with the kids, is I'll use these really small split shots. And I use those for securing floats, just a whole bunch of things. But sometimes if I don't have bobber stops, or if I'd rather use this instead of a bobber stop, I usually buy a whole bunch of these, and they're super cheap. They come in a bag of like 50 or something. And they're not very expensive at all, but they're useful. So again, really that's kind of just the gist of how they work. Like I said, starting off, and what I'll probably do is I'll probably head to Academies. If I can go tomorrow, I'll go tomorrow. But we'll do a walkthrough of looking at the different setups they have out there as far as starter kits, right? We're not talking about advanced and expert level and master anglers, no. We're looking at just basic kits, right? Just to get you out on the water. A rod, reel, and then just a little starter kit. And like I said, it'll have your hooks, your floats, your swivels, your weights. Everything you need is going to be on there, right? The only thing you have to bring is your bait. But just to kind of give you an idea, you don't need to start off with 7 different types of weights and 5 different types of sizes, right? This is perfectly fine starting out, perfectly fine. And then as you start fishing more, or if you're saying that, you know what, this isn't quite working for me, okay, then you move up to something like this, or you move up to the pyramid weights or something. They have some other ones that look pretty cool. They look like a spider, so it looks like a regular lead weight. It's got copper legs that come out of it, and that's for surf, right, when there's a real strong current. But like I said, that's not what we're talking about here. It's just basic, right? What are weights? What do they do, right? They just hold your bait in place. Or if you have them sitting under a float, it keeps it still so it's not moving all over the place. And they're not too complicated. Like I said, they're not expensive at all. Just be prepared when you go out there fishing, you're gonna lose weights. If you're fishing with the kids, you're gonna lose a lot of weights. I'm telling you, it's funny. You know, I'll sit there and have all my boxes stocked up with hooks and weights and floats and everything. And then when the kids are little, they're learning. That's the one thing you gotta remember. These kids are learning how to fish. Don't discourage them if you get upset because, you know, they got their line tangled or something, or it's stuck, or they're hung up, or they've thrown it in a tree or something. It happens. And it's funny, I've always told my wife, you know, anytime that I go fishing with the kids, I don't fish. The kids fish, I help them. And that's kind of what you have to remember, right? You want this to be an enjoyable experience for them. You don't want them to sit there and they get hung up, and then they don't want to tell you that they're hung up because they don't want you to get mad because now you have to cut your line or retie everything, and then you lost everything on there. And sometimes you do have to bite your tongue. You're like, oh my God, I want to fish, let me fish. But no, it's about the kids. Get the kids out there. If they get hung up, make it fun, right? Oh, you got hung up again. Okay, cool, no big deal. But then use that as a learning experience, right? If they're casting and they get hung in a tree, okay, show them, look, you know what? Scoot to the side, don't throw it this way. Or if they're throwing to the same spot and there's just something on the bottom that they're getting hung on, tell them, okay, cool, we know something is there, a rock, a tree, something. Let's move over here. So you have to remember, right? If this starts off strong with you and your kids and they love it, and then all of a sudden it turns into something else because you're getting frustrated with them because you don't get to fish. Fishing is fun, but it should be fun for everybody, right? You don't want to put that in their mind that, okay, it was fun at first, but then I kept getting hung up, or dad kept getting mad at me because I kept losing his weights. No, like I said, these things are cheap, man. It costs nothing, right? Whenever you're making memories with these kids and you're out there fishing and they accidentally almost hook themselves. I know it sounds funny, but it's gonna happen. I've had my kids hook themselves on their shirts or jackets, or almost hook me. My mom's hooked my dad. Hopefully she doesn't get mad at me for saying it. I've hooked myself. You know, my son hooked himself just about a month ago. It happens. And we'll go over the hook situation too, because trust me, when it comes to hooks, especially with kids, you need to be careful. But there's a way to do it. And, you know, I don't think my way is the best way, but I've never had any of my kids, and I got 5 of them, I've never had any one of them hook themselves so bad that we had to go to the hospital. Now, I've hooked myself pretty bad where that barb got stuck in. I didn't have to go to the hospital, but it was pretty difficult taking it out. And when I did get it out, my hand was throbbing. It had its own heartbeat, whatever, right? But the thing is just, it's fun, right? If these weights, let's say this costs, you know, $2 worth of lead. That's nothing, you know, 50 cents on an egg sinker, they get stuck on the bottom. It's not worth getting frustrated, you know, let the kids have fun, right? The more fun you make it for them, the more likely they're gonna have fun and then wanna go out again. And it just builds up from there, right? It can build up, they can have fun, and they can have memories to last them until, you know, they're older, so that they can teach their kids how to fish. So I really hoped you liked this video. Like I said, just wanting to touch on weights. I'll probably touch on hooks next. That'll be interesting too. But like I said, the stuff that I use is just, I mean, it's basic. I don't have a whole bunch of, this is it. And out of this, I probably only use maybe a couple of these. So it's not very complicated. I'm not going to go into like all these different types of hooks and all these different types. No, 2 or 3 probably is all you need to get out there and get started. And then you can just kind of cater your tackle box to what you think you need or what you see you need. Or if you start running low on this one type, buy a couple more. It's not that complicated, but I understand that at first it can be overwhelming because you get in and you're like, God dang, what am I picking? You know, am I supposed to buy one of these? How many of these do I need? When do I need it? And so, like I said, you know, just the small ones starting out is going to be fine to get you out there on that water and get them fish back on that bank with you so you can have fun. And take a bunch of pictures. Take a bunch of pictures with the kids. The kids love that. Even if it's a little bit, I got pictures. I don't think I can share, but I got pictures of my brother catching a little fish, a bass. Oh, it's actually a catfish. We were grown. We're adults. We weren't kids. We're about this big. But it's still fun just to hook something and pull it in. So that's what it's all about. And I'm hoping by me making these videos, it'll get you out on that water, whether it's on a boat or bank. Like I said, I'm 100% bank when I'm by myself. I don't have a boat. And it's still fun. We go out there on the weekend and we have fun, right? We take a bunch of pictures, share with each other, and it's a good old time. So if you like my videos, please, just really quick, while you're looking at it, just click on that like button. If you can, I'd like you to subscribe as well. I'm going to try and put out more content, at least maybe once a week, start putting out something, you know, to help you guys along. Once we cover all this tackle, then we'll start actually doing the tying of stuff. And then, like I said, the baits. And then eventually we'll get on that water, you know. I'm going to buy this Zebco rod and reel combination. I'm going to take it out to the water. We're going to fish with it, right? Straight out of the box. And I'll show you. That doesn't take a lot. Like I said, bread, weenies, worms, minnows. You can use all kinds of stuff. It's crazy what you could catch these fish with. And that's why it's so fun, because it's so cheap and it doesn't cost anything to go out there and fish, right? The only thing it's going to cost you is your time, maybe some snacks, some drinks for the kids, and then that's it. So like I said, please give me a like, subscribe if you can. If you have any comments of anything else you want to see, or if you want me to dig a little deeper, if you had questions about something, please put something in the comments and let me know. Until then, we'll see you later. Have fun on that water.